So you want to hear something weird? My pregnant sister-in-law, she came with me and my husband on our getaway trip, and, well, the reason she came is because she needed some time away because she was pregnant. The man that she got pregnant by ran away is the apparent story. But I don't know, I'm getting these weird vibes. Guys, she barged into my room when I was with my husband, her stepbrother, and this is what she says. She's demanding to have a key to our room because we got the nice room and she's pregnant and she wants to stay in the guest bedroom part of our room. Well, I think that's extremely weird. A grown woman would want to stay with her stepbrother and wife in the same room. I say no, but then all of a sudden my husband goes off on me. And well, one thing led to another and I found out something I wish I never did. For someone who's always believed in love and marriage, I think my 2-year-old marriage is slowly turning into something else that's not acceptable. Here's what I mean. Brian and I met 5 years ago in a store. He had been there in the woman's wing, and I got curious as to why he was there and how much attention he was paying to get the right things. I couldn't stop myself from marching up to him and starting to chit-chat. I approached him and asked if he needed any help, and turns out he did need help. But to pick the right type of tampons for his sister. That greatly touched me. I was a family person myself, and I loved people who appreciated their family and cared enough for them. This singular encounter was what endeared me to Brian. It helped him pick the right tampons for his sister, and he got my number, and from there we became inseparable. We would chat daily, and our friendship blossomed into a relationship. Well, we dated for 3 years and have been married for 2. At the beginning of our marriage, nothing seemed to be amiss. Things worked well and fine until I began to notice small changes in Brian. He would come home and not seem as excited to see me. He began to give excuses of being too tired to eat the food I made him, and this dragged out for most parts of our 2nd year in marriage. There were several quarrels and makeups, and it seemed to me like a man I'd always known to be my husband and friend was no longer there with me. It seemed he had been taken away and replaced with another man who I struggled to understand daily. One day I came home from work and saw that Brian had a drinking party. The whole house reeked of alcohol and ciggies, and I was astonished as I never knew him to be someone who smoked or drank. He was sprawled out on the couch talking gibberish, and I had to drag him to the room that day so he could sleep. In his drunken state, he shouted, "I shouldn't have married you." And I didn't know what to say to that. I was deeply hurt by the statement, but I attribute it to just him being drunk, and we never spoke of it again. He would go in and out of being sad and being happy, and I endured several mood swings and times when he would not want to touch me. Things went on like this, but being a person of commitment and believing that things could still be better and improved upon, I tried to make things work. I spoke to Brian several times and tried to understand him. Getting married was sure a different experience from living alone, and I knew he had a lot to learn and how to adjust. But there was also the possible pressure from his work. So we kept things afloat and tried to make the marriage work. I noticed some positive changes in Brian. He started eating my food again and complained less, and since we were both approaching our 3rd anniversary, I thought it would be good for us to take a break from all the pressures, that come through marriage and simply get away to make things work. We had a beach house, which we got just before our wedding, and we could stay there for our vacation and time away. I told Brian about this, and he seemed all right with it. His mood instantly changed, and he became excited. That was a welcome one for me because I had gotten tired of constantly seeing moody Brian, and so that was a welcome change and a great relief to see that. He supported the idea. He asked me to book the flights and started preparing us for the trip. I was happy that my family would finally get some fresh air, and we could finally move into our 3rd anniversary with some positivity and a little bit of love, starting afresh. But my thoughts were stopped in their tracks, guys, when 2 days ago, Brian called me into the bedroom and told me that he had something important he wants to discuss with me. He had a sober expression, and I knew that something was wrong. Guys, you would not believe what Brian said to me. He told me he would like to have his family members attend the trip with us. I know a number of people may think I'm overreacting, and that there's simply no big deal in this, but I tell you that there is. We had talked about going alone, so I don't think I want to understand why all of a sudden Brian comes up with this. I had envisioned us alone in our beach house, having fun and rekindling our love for one another. We had saved up money and bought the beach house before our honeymoon, and it was the perfect place for us to rekindle our love again. All I want is to be with my husband alone. Brian thinks that if we go with family members, it would help us bond and, be better and be much more involved in the family activities. But I really don't think it's necessary. What do you guys think that I should do? If I tell Brian it's a no for me, I'm afraid it might make him go back to his shell and become moody all over again. I'm afraid my marriage, which I'm trying to save, may become worse, since Brian would think that I don't love his family and don't want to be with them. So I'm at a crossroads on what to do. Should I simply explain to Brian again my reason for wanting us to go alone, or should I just accept for family members to come with us? I would really like to go with my husband alone. Guys, please tell me what you would do. Update number 1. Hey guys, I'm here with another update, just to state some things for our anniversary celebration. So, it's been 3 days since Brian had told me that he would like his family to join us on our anniversary trip. And although the first time he mentioned it, I was livid with anger and upset about things. I had some time to think about things, and after thinking it through, it may indeed help us all and bond well, and it could even increase the intimacy between me and Brian. I decided to tell Brian that it was fine with me. And guys, something very strange happened. Yesterday, after thinking about things and concluding that it was fine with me, I waited for Brian to get back to work before giving him the news. I saw him down for a conversation when he got back from work and told him that I would like to have his family join us on the vacation. The moment I said yes, he screamed, carried me up and swirled me around. You guys, I've never seen Brian that excited for 2 years, plus that we've been married. When he put me down, I was out of breath. He kept hugging me and saying that, thank you, that it really meant a lot to him. I was honestly taken aback by this reaction, and I can't help but think of this as anything going on that I should know. Do you guys think that this is normal at all? For all of 2 years plus that we've been married, Brian's never picked me up off the floor to swirl me around and scream in excitement, so you can understand if it all felt strange and suspicious to me. Nevertheless, I chose to believe that he was simply happy, and that just meant that things were going to get better for us and the couple especially, because I wanted to change badly before we planned kids. We discussed how the trip would go, and I told him that since his family was going to be around, I wanted mine to be around too. He said it's fine with him, as long as all his family members can come. You guys, I know that I sound confusing right now, but I really feel uncomfortable by how excited Brian is to have his family join us. Family is great and all, and spending time with him should be cherished, but I've never seen Brian be this excited about anything. Perhaps there was more news of things that I simply did not know of yet. I decided to take my mind off things and prepare for the trip. Brian and I agreed that our family members would stay in the nearest guest house to our beach house so that they would not be far from us when we throw our anniversary Thanksgiving party, and that we could also just have the beach house to ourselves alone and still have the time for our discussions and bonding. Our entire family will be staying in the hotel, and Brian said he didn't mind that as long as his family came. I hope I'm not, making the wrong decision by allowing everyone else to come along. I simply did not want Brian to go back to his shell, and I only wanted my marriage to work. I guess I'll just wait to see what happens on this anniversary trip. Remember, I told you guys that I never seen him get this excited, and I truly can't get over the suspicious feeling that this is the bottom of my stomach. Thank you all for your comments and advice, and I promise to update you on what happens next. Update number 2. Hey guys, it's been 5 days since my last update, and I want to tell you that yesterday, we got to our anniversary destination safely and sound and currently are at the beach house enjoying ourselves. I was happy that we are finally able to take a break from work and all the pressure of life and do this for ourselves. I thought everything was going to go as planned, but little did I know I was wrong. When we got to the house, Brian and I tried to settle in and unpack. For the activities ahead that we had planned together, and you guys will not believe what happened. We were seated on the couch after unpacking, eating some cookies and taking a drink, when all of a sudden someone barged in on us without knocking. It was my pregnant sister-in-law, Kelly. Kelly was Brian's sister that he had been shopping for tampons for on the day that I met him at the store. And although his brother was nice to me, Kelly and I could not find a way to develop a friendship, so we were not that close. She was mostly moody and kept to herself, and I respected that and just gave her the distance she wanted. So you could imagine my surprise when she barged in on us without the courtesy of knocking. I've always known Kelly to have a sour attitude and be very rude, but I chose not to pay much attention to her and tried to stay out of her way in the family gatherings. I didn't know much about her, but all that Brian told me was that she was Jordan's daughter, Brian's stepdad, in his first marriage before he got married to Kate, Brian's mom. There have been tales about the first wife being abusive and hitting Kelly, but there was no basis to confirm this, as it was a story told by Kelly herself to gather pity and sympathy when she got the opportunity. I neither questioned her nor believed her. I simply let her be. So, for her to come into my space unannounced in such a rude manner was not going to be accepted to me. I asked her what she wanted while watching Brian, who kept mute all along, and you would not believe what this lady said to me. She faced Brian and told us that she would like to get a key to a room in our beach house, because she would be staying there instead of the guest house where everyone else was, as we could see that she was pregnant. I was in total disbelief, and I waited for her to announce that she was joking and pull a fast one on us, but that didn't happen. Maybe there was something wrong with my hearing, or I thought. I turned to Brian, snatched the bag of chips from his hand so he could address his sister, since she was his sister after all, and all he told her was to go and get something to eat as he would come and get her. I watched Kelly leave and could not believe what I just saw, and more astonishing was how Brian reacted. I'd expressed him to tell her no and make her see that that wasn't going to happen, but he had simply told her that he would come and see her. After Kelly left, I turned to Brian and asked him to give me an explanation, buddy, about what just happened. But he simply shrugged and walked away, telling me he was hungry and needed to rest after the trip we had. He left me in the living room and walked away. I was extremely confused by this act, and why Brian had chosen not to speak up and correct his sister. We had discussed we would stay together alone in our beach house and enjoy our anniversary, so I'd expected him to hold on to that promise and tell his sister no. But all I got was a mere shrug of a shoulder and a disregard. I understand that he was probably tired and did not want to get into any argument, but it was ridiculous for him to let that happen. Kelly could not be serious to be asking me for a key to our beach house when we booked hotels for every family member, and my family members were staying there too. I've decided I'll wait till tomorrow to bring this up with Brian, so I can get things straight. I hope this doesn't strain the already strained relationship between Brian and me. I'm just going to have to wait to know what he thinks. How do you guys think that I should approach this? Update number 3. Hello guys. Thank you so much for your comments and counsel so far. It's just been a day since my last update. So, like I planned to and listened to one of you, I decided to bring up the matter to Brian again. Early this morning after we had a breakfast. I can't believe that I'm about to say this right now, but to my shock, Brian went to tell me that he believed that there was nothing wrong with Kelly having an extra key and staying with us in the beach house. I thought it was obviously a joke or, a prank on me. But when I looked at his unchanging, serious facial expression, I knew he was not joking. To say that I was shocked would be an understatement. How on earth could Brian be telling me to give our beach house room key to Kelly when we knew quite well that we had discussed that we would be alone and even went ahead to book hotels for every family member? I couldn't understand why we would sit there and just tell me to give her a key. Where was all that coming from? Besides, this beach house was bought with my hard-earned money, and I have the right to decide if I wanted something in there or not. So I tried to explain to Brian what had just been our agreement before we decided to come on this anniversary trip, just in case he forgot. We allowed family members to go with us on the basis that they would be in their hotel rooms and we would get to stay in our own beach house, right? You guys will not believe that I had not finished speaking with Brian when he began to shout at me to shut up. I was taken back by a sudden show of animosity. Not only did he shout at me to stop complaining, but he insisted I must give the key to Kelly so she could move in with us and stay with us through the trip. I couldn't believe my ears. Brian actually wanted Kelly to live with us on our anniversary trip? That sounded like the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I could not agree with him, and I vehemently told him that wouldn't happen. We eventually turned the conversation into a shouting match, and we began to scream at each other. In the midst of the argument, Brian told me that my bad character was the reason why he didn't love me. Guys, can you believe this? I stood there in shock listening to him rant. This was the second time I would hear Brian tell me that he did not love me. The first was that he had gotten drunk and I had excused that, but hearing him say it again astonished me. I'm shocked and I never thought I would have to hear this from my own husband. Even though I was hurt, I could not let his voice outpower me. So I told him that his telling me that he did not love me was not going to change anything, as I had no intention of giving a key to Kelly. She could also stay in the guest house where her parents were staying, and mine were too. I had not finished this statement when Brian shouted, "Well, if I did not give Kelly the key, he would end the marriage and leave me." He stormed out of the room and slammed the door, and guys, this was the most shocking thing I would hear from Brian in my 3 years of marriage to him. And I can't even begin to tell you how devastated I am to hear this. I can't believe my own husband is choosing his sister over our marriage and what we share. I'm shocked at the quick turnaround of the events to something that is quite unbelievable. All I wanted was to spend time alone with my man. I never thought things would turn out this way. Brian's reaction to things was rather shocking and completely confusing for me. This was further strengthening my suspicion about things not being right with him. I never thought our anniversary getaway would turn into one where we were fighting and not on good terms. But here I am right now in a dilemma of what to do. I'm truly devastated. I need to find out what's really going on. For Brian to threaten to leave me because I didn't want Kelly in our beach house. It just seems to me like there's more. Guys, I'm in a dilemma and I need help. What do you guys think I should do? Should I simply yield to Brian and give Kelly a key to one of the rooms in our beach house? Or, just to keep peace, and that way I can save my marriage? Or do I insist and find out things for myself, even though I know this may affect my already struggling marriage? What do I do? Update number 4. Hey, it's been 2 days since my shouting match with Brian about Kelly, and I decided I wasn't going to make an immediate decision about things. Yes, words get spoken in anger, and sometimes we really do mean things, which we say when we're upset, but this was what I held on to and decided not to make an immediate decision. But I found that case was different with Brian. The next day after the argument, which was yesterday, Brian would not talk to me. He kept mute all day. He was upset I had not given Kelly the key. Again, Kelly shows up at the door at dinner without an invitation, and without knocking, and she demands to sleep in our house that day, claiming she's 5 months pregnant and should not be treated that way, that we were treating her. I didn't let any of her emotional talk get to me, as I simply told her to go back to the guest house, where everybody else was staying because she would not be getting a key from me. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Brian, who had been sipping his drink, quietly got up, slammed his cup on the table, and told me I was a disappointment, and he could not wait to leave me if I did not give that key to Kelly, before leaving the dining table. This singular behavior of his has made me really think about things. Is this truly the Brian that I know and got married to, as he turned into someone else? Unable to let go of my suspicion, I decided to find out more. His behavior sealed my suspicion, and if there was one person I could contact for information, it was Brian's best friend Luke. Luke liked me a lot and was convinced his friend made the right decision by getting married to me. So I had access to him and could go to him when I had any doubts. So I decided to reach Luke. I sent a message to Luke telling him there was something urgent to deal with and my family would fall apart if I did not. He responded, and we scheduled a call for tomorrow. He was at work when I sent the message and he could not talk at the instant. I just decided to wait and see what will come out of the conversation. I really do hope that this does not signal an end to my marriage. I'm really scared, guys. I know that I sound stupid, but I don't know that I will find out. I'm just going to have to see what our call reveals tomorrow and update you guys. Thank you all so much for following my story and being here until now. Update number 5. Hey guys, it's me. So after the whole experience I had with Brian 2 days ago, and while waiting to find out more from Luke, I had some time to think about things and I concluded that the decision to call Luke was the right one. I know that some of you have accused me of bringing a third party into my marriage by calling his friend and finding out more, but all I can say is that you're not going to, be the one in the situation, and you truly don't know how things are. Brian is not someone who likes to hold a conversation, see. I've tried countless times to speak to him about issues, but he always disregards me. So I have to do what I have to do. So guys, yesterday I took a long walk around the beach and I had a conversation with Luke, and you guys would not believe what I found out. Luke actually revealed to me that Brian was not truly who he said he was when we met. He had lied to me about him being in love with me. Luke told me that Brian had been involved in lots of escapades before marriage, but Luke supported him in getting married to me because he thought that I would be great influence in his life. He had hoped that Brian would change for the better with me now being in his life, but he was disappointed that it had not been so. Luke had wished for him to have a nice family and be with his wife alone, but Brian had not listened. Luke forwarded pictures and videos to me and you guys. I saw Brian and Kelly in a club doing things that no brother and sister should be doing. Brian was touching her and doing some nasty stuff. I couldn't stop the tears. That explains the audacity Kelly had to barge in and ask for a room in our beach house. I thought I heard it all, but turns out there was more. Luke told me that 5 months ago when Brian had told me he was going on a business trip, he lied. He had gone to see Kelly, who had broken the news to him that she was pregnant. I couldn't believe my ears. I now put things together and realized that this is why I had come home and met him drunk that Saturday night. He had just gotten the news of her pregnancy. I was upset and I cried over the phone as Luke spoke. I blamed him for not telling me sooner about the character of his friend, and he apologized to me, and he found out about him and Kelly just a few weeks before the wedding. He didn't want to ruin it. I thanked him. I ended the call, and I was truly shocked to find out those things about him. Brian had gotten Kelly pregnant, right in our marriage, and I had no clue. Absolutely no clue. My husband had been in love with his stepsister all along, and I had only been a fan to him despite standing by him all these years. I'm truly devastated by all of this right now, and I don't know what to do with this information I got. Do I confront Brian with the evidence I have, or simply carry out my revenge on both of them? I can't believe I've let myself get hurt this way. What should I do? Update number 6. This is the final update of the story. Hey guys, it's been a few months and since finding out Brian had been cheating on me, so I decided to take the advice of some of you and hatch out my revenge plan. Like the person said, this was not a marriage worth fighting for, as Brian had always been in love with his sister, and they needed to pay for causing me such pain. That was what they did. After getting the news from Luke, I wasn't myself for 2 days, and Brian continued to threaten me to give the key to Kelly. I completely ignored him, while I hatched my revenge plan so he could pay for being unfaithful to me. I planned a luncheon, and just before bringing the idea and inviting family members to the luncheon, I went to Brian and apologized to him for not giving Kelly the key sooner, and I told him I had a luncheon idea prepared so I could invite everyone, and specifically apologize to Kelly and give them, a key to one of the rooms in our beach house. Of course, he was happy with this idea and told me it was a good one, so, I could plan. I got a flash drive and transferred pictures and videos of Brian and Kelly from my phone. I invited everyone, including my own mother, Lisa, my dad, Gabriel, as well as my 2 brothers, Johnny and Kevin. Everyone from Brian's family that came with us was present too. Everything was set. I got the projector, CD-ROM, and I had the best food on display for everyone. Everyone was excited and raised a toast to me and Brian on the success of our marriage and a blissful 3rd anniversary. It was time to give speeches, and I told Brian to go first, as I would like to end the luncheon with a grand apology to everyone, especially to Kelly for letting her be pregnant and get stressed about staying in a hotel. Brian was cool with this, and he got up to the front and raised a toast to me, his dear wife, telling everyone that he loved me dearly and he could not imagine his life without me. This was the most laughable, and I was tempted to rush at him and punch his lying face in the mouth. But I knew I had to be patient and save the best for last. After he was done speaking, everyone clapped for him and it was my turn. I thanked him for all showing up and being with us in a dramatic fashion. I told Kelly to stand up because I had an apology to make to her. Well, I told everyone that I had pictures to show them from our 3-year marriage. I turned on the projector and displayed pictures and videos of Brian and Kelly kissing. Everyone screamed and Kelly tried to run out, but I stationed someone at the door just to ensure that nobody could leave. They were all in shock to see the pictures and videos I announced that Kelly's baby. It's in fact not for her new boyfriend, which is she's claiming that baby was from, but oh no, it was Brian's. There was an uproar, and I took that moment to share a clip of Brian kissing Kelly on one of the days he told me he traveled to one of those mini business trips. I told him I was disappointed, extremely, and that I would be the one leaving him. He and Kelly could go to hell for all I care. Brian's family were amazed to discover this, and my brother charged at him, attempting to beat him to a pulp. There was no reason for anyone to develop a headache over him, so I stopped him. Brian's parents downed him and just straight up told him to never associate with them again. Kelly, she sunk to the floor, absolute tears in her eyes. She was unable to do anything. Guys, it's got pretty bad. Without his family, Brian was nothing and had no right to his mother's money, and there was no way he could take care of her. Jordan told Kelly he never wanted to see her again. They all left angry, and I told my family I would like to be alone at the beach house and take some time to heal. I filed for divorce and got the beach house and money from damages from Brian. I finally came to terms that he did not deserve me, never loved me. I finally got the whole place to myself, and it became a solo vacation for me. I'm so grateful to everyone who has followed my story for this long and has been with me through this. I know that I'll find true love soon, and I don't regret leaving that cheat. My life is as good as it can be right now, and I want nothing to tamper with my mental health. Thank you so much.